Thank you.
How are you keeping Chelsea today?
I'm doing great. Happy belated Valentine's Day.
Cheers. Same to yourself. Chelsea, I'm now joined on the line by Chelsea Kane to discuss the iconic US TV series Baby Daddy. And Chelsea, if I can start off by asking you, how did the opportunity arise to be cast as Riley Perrin in the hit US TV series Baby Daddy?
It was a very serendipitous series of events. I actually was shooting a movie called Love Struck the musical, where I was singing and dancing, and it was kind of a light comedy for ABC Family, which then turned into the Freeform network.
Yep.
And while I was on set for that, the executives who were sitting in Video Village were mentioning this new pilot that they were putting together called Baby Daddy. And the way they presented it to me, it sounded like three boys, kind of like the old movie Three Men and a Baby.
Oh, yeah.
These three bachelors raising a kid. And so I remember actually making phone calls to some of my male actor friends back in LA saying, hey, you guys should keep a lookout for this script. It sounds pretty funny, not realizing that there was a lead female role in it as well. And after we wrapped that movie, the network, which I was so flattered by, wanted me to sit down with Dan Berenson, the show creator, and Michael Lembeck, the director, to see if I would be the right fit for Riley. And I remember we met for breakfast, and my agents had told me, you don't have the role.
Yeah.
You haven't offered it to you yet. This is just a meeting. But it was a very funny breakfast because Dan and Michael were kind of talking as if I had the part, and I was hoping I had the part and, trying to talk in a way that secured the role for me. So we were kind of doing this little song and dance around each other, hoping that the other one would be convinced that this was the right job for us. So it was the first time I've never had to go through the audition process and testing and all the nerve-wracking kind of unfun parts of being an actor. So it was really an amazing experience to get an offer like that. And I loved Dan and Michael, and after that initial breakfast, I signed on. I was ready to go.
And I suppose, Chelsea, in Baby Daddy, your character Riley is caught in a love triangle between two brothers whom both harbour strong feelings to her. And your godmother to Emma, you eventually wind up marrying Danny Wheeler, played by Derek Theler. And what is Chelsea Kane's take on the Riley character and the dilemma she faces, being caught in that sort of love triangle?
Right. Well, as much as I hate to admit it, Chelsea Kane, have been in Riley Perrin's shoes.
Oh, right.
I've never been in a love triangle between brothers. I've never.
That would be a first, I'd say.
Dynamic, thank God. I haven't gone that far, but it is a small town, and I have been in situations where social circles. We run in the same groups, and I have kind of.
So you've experienced to fall back on.
For friends, which is always an uncomfortable experience.
Yeah.
So I can sympathize with Riley, but I think in this case, it's the difference of kind of breaking those first impressions. Riley has always been in love with Ben Wheeler, and Ben Wheeler was kind of the bad boy growing up. He was never interested in Riley, and it's so strange how you carry those things with you for the rest of your life. It's why you want to look your best at your high school reunion. Those first loves, it's just hard to get over. You always want to conquer it. You always want to scratch that itch of that first person you had those feelings for. So that's what it is with Ben. Riley's always loved Ben. He never wanted anything to do with her. Meanwhile, Danny's been on the sidelines as just a great friend, and I think he was in the friend zone for a really long time.
Yeah.
And Riley just didn't see him that way. And eventually, she kind of has that aha moment where she realizes the right guy has been there all along. And I've had that happen to me too. I was actually
a sleepless in Seattle moment.
A first date with someone out here in LA, and throughout the dinner I'm talking and telling stories about my life, and I kept mentioning the name of a guy who, I thought was just a good friend and a best friend, and eventually the guy at dinner pointed out, like, so who is this guy you keep talking about? Did you guys ever have a thing? And
yeah.
I remember having that moment of like, oh my God, I have to go. If this were a rom-com, I would have been, running through the rain to his house at the end of the night and telling him, I loved you all along.
A Cinderella story.
I can sympathize with Riley. I've been there, but I love that it came full circle and that, at the same time, Riley didn't become the most hated woman on television for dating brothers. That's a tricky situation.
Yeah, and I suppose, Chelsea, the shooting week on set, from the time you got the script to the final live shoot, how long did it take to shoot one episode? And was the show mostly shot in the one location, and did the show have a big budget production in the early first season?
So it would take us a week to complete an episode, but we were actually only shooting that episode 2 days of the week.
All right.
So our schedule, we shot on a studio lot in front of a live audience, so it was almost like putting on a play.
Yeah.
So on Mondays, the whole cast would come in and we would do what is called a table read. So we'd sit all together with our writers, executive producers, the crew, and we would read through the script and see what parts worked, what parts didn't. The writers would go back into the writer's room and kind of start to polish up whatever scenes they needed to, or cut things that weren't pushing the story forward. And then Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the cast would rehearse the whole show in its entirety from start to finish. And then at the end of the day, we would basically run through the show for our writers, for our executive producers, so they could see it on its feet, as if you were watching the episode straight through. So we'd jump from set to set and scene to scene. Granted, we're in our everyday clothes. Yeah. It's almost like a rehearsal for theater. And then because we had a baby who is obviously and understandably unpredictable, we would shoot all of our scenes with the babies on Thursdays, and we wouldn't shoot that in front of a live audience because we're kind of on the baby's schedule. If they're tired and want to take a nap, the production would stop and we'd let the babies take a little break. If the scene wasn't working,
you were held to ransom.
Or talking. Yeah, we were on their schedule on Thursdays, and the only times we would ever leave our soundstage, we got to shoot on New York Street, which is a cool fake storefront New York Street that was actually just maybe a couple hundred feet away from our soundstage, but it was like a field trip for us on those days when we get to actually go outside and see real daylight. But then on Friday nights, which were always my favorite, and I love that we got to tape the show on Friday nights because it's that energy of building up to the end of the work week. We would get to come in a little later in the day. We'd run through the whole show with our cameramen, do all the blocking, because we have 4 cameras moving at once, so it really is like a dance. Everyone has to hit the right marks at the right time in order for it to work. And then we all have a big dinner together, friends and family who might be in town to see the show, eat with us, and then we gear up for the show. We bring in the live audience, and we shoot the whole episode in 3 to 4 hours. We have a stand-up comedian that keeps the audience warmed up in between scenes if we need to rewrite stuff. And, and then afterwards, it's Friday night, so there was usually a lot of celebrating in the dressing rooms. My dressing room was actually dubbed Bar Chelsea.
All right.
And set deck came in. I had a neon sign in my window that said Bar Chelsea, and if the sign was on, anyone was welcome
open for
to come
business.
In. I had a full wraparound bar with bar stools, a mirror ball. They put in a sound system, so there was always a big celebration after the end of a good taping.
Yeah, and Chelsea, Baby Daddy is a comedy show that touches on an awful lot of real-life situations, such as the modern young single dad and people going through dramatic transformations, like your character Riley, or when she was young in high school, Reganter, as what Ben used to call her, an overweight teenager, to now a young, petite, blonde, up-and-coming liar, to tracking down even more emotional issues like to tracking down biological parents. So you touch, even though it was a comedy show, you hit on an awful lot of sensitive subjects there as well in relation to the hitting the target of a young male dad in his 20s or 30s, which is a common thing now these days, in relation to transformations, weight transformations, and then biological parents and stuff like that.
Well, I think comedy is therapeutic. To touch on important subjects, it's a way to have these conversations without it feeling too heavy or too overwhelming. it can start these conversations in someone's living room because you can watch this show with your family, and you do touch on stuff that might otherwise get not brushed under the rug, but maybe too difficult to talk about or too depressing in a heavier light or a heavier sense. And so, comedy has always been a great way to kind of bring heavy subjects to the surface and make it less painful and to make people feel less alone. I mean, with the current political climate, for me, for example, I am so grateful for political satire, to be able to tune into shows where we're talking about these subjects that are important to me, but you're able to kind of laugh and feel like you're part of a community that feels the same way about stuff. Same goes for social media. As frustrating or scary as social media can be sometimes, reading a funny meme, it makes me feel better to know, like, oh, someone else has crazy, weird anxiety at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Or someone else does these weird habits that I have. And so I think comedy is really important. And with our show, what I love about it is it's not cruel comedy. We're not poking fun at people who can't defend themselves. It's self-deprecating humor, and there's the underlying theme, no matter what, is love. You know these people love each other, and they will go to the ends of the earth for each other. So to poke fun at one another or talk about these heavy subjects, we're able to do it because it's not cruel.
Yeah, and I suppose, Chelsea, the cast of Baby Daddy seems to have a real sense of a real-life family atmosphere to it. And the chemistry on set between yourself, Melissa, Jean-Luc, Derek and Taj, you look like a group of people that have grown up in a normal village anywhere across the world. And even talking about that chemistry, instead of doing a bit of research there about the show, I came across something on YouTube where Jean-Luc did a ice bucket challenge of you coming out of a door without you aware of it, and just goes to show the sort of humour and camaraderie that was on set. I don't think he wasn't probably in your good books that day, but just goes to show the amount of crack I imagine he had.
Yes, we really do love each other. It's, I know it sounds like a cliche, but we're not saying that just for good ratings. This is my second family, and you can't explain it. I don't know what that special thing is that makes a show work. It's like lightning in a bottle. Actually, we had a joke on our set that it was lightning in a baby bottle. We had a little lightning bolt in a baby bottle for all of us, because there was just something that happened when we all got in a room together. I don't know if our paths would have crossed otherwise. We're all very different in our day-to-day private lives, but for some reason, when we're all in the same room, there is just a love and understanding and a shared sense of humor that you can't fake. And I think that is part of why the show worked and went for so long, is there's like that sparkle in our eyes when we look at each other. We respect each other. We genuinely enjoy each other's company. And even in the off season, when, you think you'd be excited to like get away from these people that you spend 5 days a week, 12 hours a day with. Jean-Luc and I actually took a backpacking trip through Europe. We stayed in Ireland. That's where we started our trip, and we loved it. We had the best time. I can't wait to come back. But even stuff like that, on our hiatus, Jean-Luc and I packed up our bags and decided to stay in hostels all over Europe together and have an adventure. So we, Jean-Luc and Derek actually lived together in real life. They were roommates for a couple of seasons. We just really hit it off, and I think I like to think that shows up on the screen.
Yeah, and Chelsea, I suppose it's something we do when we talk about a comedy series, an iconic comedy series. We ask the actor or actress, can they remember a funny story? Maybe something on the day, maybe a blooper or something that happened on the day, or a set, or something that you'll always remember, something that made all the castmates burst into laughter, or something you say, oh God, remember that sort of story from that day we were shooting when something happened? Or have you any sort of thing that you can remember that sticks in your head that you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, we were always cracking up on set. That's the joy of working in a comedy, is there's always new kind of wild antics happening. I don't know. Have you talked to Melissa Peterman yet?
Tomorrow I'm talking to her at 7.
Okay, well, you'll have to run this story by her, because hopefully she's not mad at me for revealing it. I don't know if she would want it out there, but...
We'd love to hear it.
It was season 2 or 3. Melissa actually had kind of like a health scare and had to go into the hospital to have like a quick minor surgery on something, and it was our tape night. And she's such a trooper and didn't want to shut down production. She came into the show, and we, obviously we were all very careful and patient and, taking care of her, but she was still kind of heavily medicated.
Yeah.
And she and I had a scene together, and it's where we discovered that her soon-to-be husband on the show, Brad, has a twin brother that we think is just Brad playing 2 different characters, putting on glasses in between. But Melissa was kind of like high as a kite, and I think some of the funniest moments ever came out of that scene because she was just winging it. I remember we were holding pretzels up to our eyes and pretending they were eyeglasses, and it's one of my favorite episodes to watch back because she was so loopy, and because of that I was just loopy with laughter. I was right there with her. It's just hilarious to watch back, knowing what was really going on behind the scenes, and the whole crew was cracking up. And one of my other favorite moments is, our set became like a second home. When we're rehearsing on it all week, we really do like have breakfast at the kitchen table and sit on the couch and look at Instagram, and it really becomes comfortable for us. And so I remember one day I was in the middle of a scene, and even though we were rehearsing and I was in my normal clothes, it had just become so casual on set. I remember JL standing across the room going, Chelsea, 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 trying to get my attention to show me something. And I finally had to stop and say, dude, I'm in the middle of a scene. There are so many funny moments like that where we're just so comfortable with each other. It's almost ridiculous.
And Chelsea, why do you think Baby Daddy appealed to a large global audience of TV viewers, both young and old? And is the Riley character someone that people closely associate you when they see you in person? If you're walking in your off time, do people say that's Riley from Big Daddy, or do people ever closely associate that character with you now? Do you often get mixed up? Do people actually call you Riley, and sometimes instead of Chelsea?
Yeah, I answer to every character name I've ever played. It's like a weird thing. Someone could say any role or any name of any role I've played, and I tend to answer to it. I have been so incredibly surprised and pleased and just beyond flattered by how many different people have seen the show all over the world and from so many different walks of life. I've had people approach me on the street that I never in a million years would have pegged them for a Baby Daddy viewer. And actually one of my favorite stories happened while I was with Jean-Luc traveling through Ireland and Europe, because we thought we would go incognito, and we were staying in hostels and wearing the same gross t-shirt for 7 days in a row, and Jean-Luc had shaved his head, and I dyed my hair brown. And,
wow!
We were just kind of
you went all out.
This fun, weird summer, and we couldn't believe how many people, especially in another country that we didn't even realize had access to our show, were stopping us on the street to talk about how much they love Baby Daddy, and it just blew us away. It meant so much. We were so thrilled. And as far as for me personally, to have girls come up to me on the street or talk to me about Riley, what I really loved about playing this character, and I owe a debt of gratitude to Dan Berenson, our creator, and one of our executive producers, Heidi Clements, for fighting to make Riley not perfect. I feel like so many love interests on TV or in movies are these perfect women. They never get angry, they're not flawed, they look great all the time, they always have the right thing to say. And for example, one thing that was a big kind of debate on set is Riley is studying to take the bar exam to become a lawyer, and they wanted her to fail the bar exam the first time because it's hard. And in real life that happens. And I remember the network really had a problem with that, of like, no, she can't fail, that she has to pass, and I love
Perfect world
for Riley not doing it right the first time and failing, but picking herself back up and taking it again and passing. And I love that I got to play a role for girls to look at where she's not perfect and she is flawed. And a lot of girls come up to me on the street or write me online saying, thanks for kind of being a little crazy sometimes or a little manic or, not always being the perfect version of a young woman.
Yeah. And Chelsea Kane, if I asked you, as I said, how would you like to be remembered for your role as Riley Perrin in the iconic TV series Baby Daddy? And if someone put your character, Riley Perrin, into the dictionary and left 2 blank sentences underneath, what would you like those sentences to read?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm so flattered that you say iconic TV show. That's makes me want to cry. What a huge compliment. If I had to pick a definition for Riley Perrin, I would say Riley Perrin was a die-hard, dependable friend, and although she wasn't perfect, she had a killer wardrobe and a kicky haircut.
Now, Chelsea, before we let you leave, and it's quite interesting, you've mentioned Ireland here a few times about your backpacking experience here in Ireland. We're actually running a celebrity quiz here. We've had over 50 celebrities from all over the world, from Robert Davi, Scott Grimes, Will Wheaton, Melissa Fumero from Brooklyn 9. And it's simple, a celebrity quiz. I'm a celebrity. How well do you know Ireland? There's 10 simple questions about Ireland. And I have a feeling, because you've backpacked in Ireland, you might actually score very well in this. Do you want to take part?
Gosh, this is nerve-wracking. Okay. Well, can I preface it that I was also drinking a lot of Jameson
okay.
during that trip? So hopefully I retained some information.
Okay, so Chelsea Kane, you're a celebrity. How well do you know Ireland? Okay, Chelsea, first question. Can you name any colour of the Irish flag?
Any colour of the Irish flag?
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be some... Ooh, oh my God, there's got to... Well, I just want to assume there's some green in there, right?
Perfect, yeah.
Right now I'm trying to picture...
One from one.
I'm 1 for 1?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Question number 2. Can you name any county in Ireland?
Any county?
Yeah.
Can I say Dublin?
Correct. 2 from 2. Question number 3. March the 17th is known as what day worldwide?
March 17th?
Yeah.
Is that St. Patrick's Day?
Correct. 3 from 3.
Woo!
And question number 4, Chelsea, you might have been here now. It's probably one of the famous Irish tourist attractions. So I'll give you a choice. Which of these is a famous Irish tourist attraction? 2 of them are not in Ireland. So the choices are A, the Cliffs of Moher, B, Brandenburg Gate, or C, Oystermouth Castle.
What is in Ireland?
Yeah.
The Cliffs of Moher.
Correct. Were you there, by the way?
Which I visited and loved. It was so beautiful. One of my favorite days. We rented a car. I drove on the opposite side of the street for the first time, so I was thrilled to make it to the Cliffs of Moher at all.
Okay, so Chelsea, you're 4 from 4. Question number 5. Which of these is a famous Irish river? Is it A, the River Shannon, B, the River Rhine, or C, the River Lech?
The River Rhine?
The Rhine is in Germany. It's the Shannon.
Oh, damn.
No problem.
Shannon. Ah, crap. I was on a roll there.
Question number 6. Can you name any famous Irish sports star? And I'll give you a hint. This guy, I'll give you a hint of one guy anyway. He was all over the American press last year. He fought this sort of publicity fight against Floyd Mayweather, a mixed martial arts thing.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about, looks-wise. I just have to... I know I'm going to fail this one because, believe it or not, just by looking at me, I'm not well versed on any sort of sport whatsoever. I couldn't even name famous American athletes. I'm so sorry.
No problem. And I think you might get this question right now. Question number 7. Can you name the famous alcoholic beer founded in Ireland?
Guinness.
Correct. And question number 8. Ireland was once occupied by what country? And it's our neighbours just across the pond from us.
Would it be Northern Ireland or Scotland or England? Well, Northern Ireland and Ireland are different
Yeah.
Considered different countries.
They're
Right?
the same island, so just across the pond. You mentioned it there.
England?
Correct. I thought you were going to say Scotland for a minute, but England is the correct answer, Chelsea. Chelsea,
Wow.
question number 9. Which plant or shrub is the national symbol of Ireland?
Oh my goodness. Which plant or shrub?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. What is it?
It's the shamrock or the 4-inch clover.
Is the shamrock?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that I would sound like such a cliche if I said a 4-leaf clover. I didn't want that to be insulting. It really is the shamrock.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And finally,
Very cool.
Chelsea, can you name any famous Irish actor or musician?
Irish actor or musician. I would say, oh my gosh, Colin. Is it Colin Farrell?
Correct. Yeah. Colin Farrell. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, now I'm like, yes, I love so many musicians that come out of Ireland too. Is Mumford and Sons, are they Irish?
That actually,
Morrison Irish?
yeah,
Or did I just make that up?
I'd have to check on that off the top of my head now. I just don't have the resources, but you're definitely right anyway in Colin Farrell. Chelsea Kane, in our celebrity quiz, how well do you know Ireland? You scored 7 out of 10. Okay, that puts you in 23rd place. Okay, out of 50 celebrities. Okay, in relation to
Out of 23?
you're in 23rd place out of 50 celebrities so far. So
Oh, wow. All right.
around the mid table. So Chelsea, you were saying backpacking around Ireland. Before I let you go, what sort of experience or memory would you have taken out from that trip in relation to Ireland? And you said it might be on the cards coming back here again in the future?
Oh, I would love to. There's a little Irish blood in my family tree, so I felt right at home the minute I arrived. One of my favorite moments, we took a ferry over to the Aran Islands.
Yeah.
And we rode bikes all over the island. I thought it was absolutely stunning. And if my trivia was correct, they shot some of The Princess Bride over there.
Yeah, they did indeed.
One of my all-time favorite movies. But I just thought that was such an incredible place, and that was one of my favorite days of the trip by far. But I will definitely be back. We have a lot more ground to cover for sure.
Chelsea Kane, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you on the airwaves tonight, looking back on the iconic TV series Baby Daddy, and particularly your character Riley Perrin. We wish you all the best in the near future and whatever projects and TV shows that you have around the corner. And Chelsea, take care.
Oh, thank you so much, Jim. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.